Well, good evening. Good evening, everyone. East Coast Africa. I see a lot of love coming out of by way of Ghana, Nigeria, so much love. Still, 95% of the audience is men, and primarily this show is for you. So, our topic of discussion today is the almighty egg. And what I mean egg, we're talking about fertility. And it's interesting, a number of guys will send me dating profiles off of whether it be Facebook dating or Tinder, Bumble. I get all of these, ridiculous, delusional dating profiles from women who are looking for love or, a simp. Play simp, step simp daddy, all of the above, take care of her, give her all her needs, everything that she wants, but offers nothing in return in the profile. But what has been an interesting theme, if you're paying attention, and if you're a guy that's out there in the dating scene online, and I've heard this also, that somewhere along the line, many modern women, and I understand there's a difference between modern and traditional women, but many modern women have this mindset that they can get pregnant anytime they want. And what I mean by that is past the age of 40, 50. And I'm going to try to get my chat up so that all of you who are on YouTube watching, I can chime in and answer some of the questions that you may have. So let me also bring up those of you on Facebook so that I also, may be in a position to chime in and answer some of the questions that you might have, right? And where we're going with this still is modern women and the delusion that, like men who turn 70 and 80 years old, that you can continue to mother children. Look, a guy can be, in his 70s and still have a child. But the same doesn't hold true for women. And I got my Facebook comments up now, and I've got the YouTube comments up so that, let me put you guys on Facebook on the main screen so that I can see your comments and responses, right? So, fascinating study. Now, the one study was done in 2010 that I'm going to take notes from. Forgive me, I have not memorized everything. But I want to make sure when I discuss these facts, you see, my critics love to pull out facts that they dug up online and take little notes to try to refute what I'm saying and not the overall theme. So I want to make sure when I say these things that it's accurate and true. Now, for women who want kids, this one article, the sooner the better. This was an article from ABC News. And it says that by the time a woman reaches 30 years old, she's lost 90% of her eggs. So when you see women on these dating profiles saying, oh, I'm open to, she's 36, 38, 40, 42, open to having children, you're offering something that you may not be able to offer. Because it also states in this study that was conducted on women in the United Kingdom, England, in Europe overall. The results of the study also showed that women, by the time they reach 40 years old, only have 3% of their eggs left. Now, the other part of this, that, because they put the media right now loves posting pictures of some 50-year-old who gives birth as if this is a normal thing. The result of these studies has been this, that they've increased the age for geriatric pregnancy, meaning you're too old to be having a kid, from 35 to 37. I believe that was this year or last year. But they've raised the age to 37 to let modern women think that, oh, you got an extra 2 years. See, we could have kids. No. The ones that you read about, every article, I guarantee you, almost every article you read about a woman who's 45 and over having a child, when you read the article, look for the three letters IVF. And I'm going to explain briefly how IVF works, and it's fascinating for these women who technically the body is not giving out any more eggs. But anyway, Dr. Marie Savard, who conducted this study, said the biological indeed does tick, and that her advice to women who want kids, the sooner the better. So you don't have unlimited amounts of time to go about finding yourself, putting your career and everything else before childbirth, because in doing so, you are working against not only your body, but the viability and the quality of egg that is available. And now, further going into this study, which it blows me away because one, it says healthy women in their late 30s and early 40s who think they can postpone pregnancy may be jeopardizing their chance of conceiving, is what the doctor said. So whereas they're coming to you, you're part of the criteria that many men place in a woman is your ability to provide a child. For some of these women, they're making claims for something that they really can't do. What's up, Jesus, man, Jesus? It's not even about health. It's that the thing they don't want to understand is their oxytocin, as well as, which is a pair bond thing that they've blown out of the water by the time they've had 10 or more men. But the other part of this is the ability to even give you a child. And then you have to go through all this IVF, which also the doctor says increases the chance of injury to the child, whether it could be Down syndrome, the list goes on. Physical defects, right? Now, in this other study, or this is from the CNY Fertility, right? Some facts. Now, this is really interesting. So you can get a full breakdown, and this is stuff that I didn't know. Apparently, a woman has the most eggs she's ever going to have at 20 weeks, meaning when she's inside her mother's, what's good, Terry? What happens is when your girl or your woman you're looking to date is inside her mother's womb, at 20 weeks or at 5 months, she ain't even born yet, that's when she has the most eggs that she can offer. And that number is 6 to 8 million, right? But the egg cells are constantly degenerating, falling apart at the peak reproductive years. Now, women start ovulating between 10 and 15 years old. So when she starts ovulating, they're saying 30 to 40 eggs leave, call it a vault. So inside this vault, her ovaries, 30 to 40 eggs are pulled and that's in this waiting pool. And they start to develop each day. Of these 30 to 40, only 1/10 will get close enough to be viable. Now remember, a woman drops roughly 1 egg every month. So, because these eggs start to die and develop at the same time, when a woman she goes through roughly 300,000 to 400,000. So by the time she gets to 12 years old, right? 13 years old, you went from 6 million down to 300,000 to 400,000. That's how monthly they're losing like 1,000 eggs a month. But she only will ovulate in her lifetime 300 to 400 eggs. So let's do the math, right? Because, we're dealing in statistics here. So over the course of her life, right? So let's go with, it says 10 to 15. Let's say a woman starts to ovulate at 13 years old. Hey, what's up, Lawrence? So at 13 years old, right? So we're going to go on 10-year increments of, let's assume she drops one egg every month. So every 10 years, from the year 13 to 23, that's 120 eggs. 12 eggs, one egg a month, 12 months in a year, times 10, that's 120. So let's take 350, a nice middle number, right? 300 to 400 eggs. Subtract that 120 from that 350. By the time she reaches 23, she only got 230 eggs left. Let's go 23 now. The critics jumped all over the Godfather, Brother Samuels, and said, when he said throwaway women, right? The term that they use in China for women over the age of 27. So you already lost a third of your eggs by 23. So let's take her up to 33, right? So now we got 230, and we're going to subtract another 120. She's down to 130 eggs, right? Let's do the math again. 350 minus, call it now, 240, right? We're going with 20 years. Sorry, that number's 110. She's got 110 eggs left at 33 years old. 4 years later, statistically, according to CNY Fertility, 4 years later, because most women will be like, okay, I'm good till 43. Not so fast. At 37, rapid egg degeneration happens. So, by the time she's 40, she's down to 3%. What's 3% of 350? She's down to less than 10 eggs at 40. Now, some are different. They may be able to push it till 42, 43. Some, it's already web dust by 37. There's no one size fits all. So and forgive me, brothers and the ladies. Otis, what's up? Shout out for the ladies that are paying attention. This is good information to note, because if you truly desire to have children, and I've seen a lot of these posts you brothers sending me of these women talking about, you're 37 and I'm open to have kids. They have put everything else as a priority in their life. School, their trips and vacations, their hoe face, their career, everything before family. And now family is important to you because that clock is gonging. But here's what they have to offer at 37. You got messed up eggs where I might have a Down syndrome kid, some kind of physical defect. So we go on. So how many eggs does a woman have at puberty? And this is good information, because they like to say, oh, you guys are just misogynists. No, this is facts. A prepubescent female has about 10,000 eggs that will degenerate or die per month. Correction, I said 1,000. It's 10,000 per month. That's how much they lose. Started off with 6 million when they were born. That means by the time a woman reaches puberty, they only have 300,000 to 400,000 left. They burning through eggs. So meanwhile, she's 13. Granted, 100 years ago, a 15-year-old boy was marrying a 13-year-old girl and starting a family so they could work the farm. Now, because of the Industrial Revolution of America, we took it from 18 years old to now you got to wait till a girl finishes college. And now for 2023, you're really waiting for her to get her master's. So at this point, whereas you should have been having a kid back at 13 and even if you push it to 18, where you should have been having a child, now 26, they're going through their whole phase. They can't pair bond. All the oxytocin is gone, and now they're running low on eggs. And good eggs, right? Because, even at 23, she got a gang of eggs. But are they good, the best eggs? We're not going to have no kids with no mental issues or challenges? Women in their early 30s, according to this article, are generally better off in women than their late 30s. An ovarian reserve declines sharply in the late 30s. For example, a woman at 30 has around 100,000 to 150,000 eggs. By the time she turns 35, that number is likely around 80,000. Late into the 30s, that number drops down to 25 to 10,000 or fewer. So understand this, right? The way the cycle of the egg works, and this is really interesting. So when that egg comes out and she starts her cycle, there's eggs that are sitting there, 30 to 40 eggs that are sitting there in the incubator, right? The body is saying, I'm picked you 35 to be the best to pull out of the thousands. And at day 70, when it releases a chemical called FSH, Frank Sam Halo. Releases a chemical, and it tells the one or two eggs who have been there the exact right amount of time. So one or two eggs say, "Oh, I see that chemical. I'm going to fully mature as an egg." Then when the body goes through its menstrual cycle, it calls that egg to come out, that one egg. Now what IVF does, and this is great information, gentlemen, excellent information. What IVF, when they take those drugs, it tricks the body. Because the body still got 5 to 10,000 eggs sitting in the ovaries that it's like, nah, I didn't think these things were good. But you can't play with God. So you're tricking the body saying, give me one of them eggs that you didn't want to pick, body. If the body didn't pick those eggs, there may be a reason why. So you're tricking the body to say, nah, forget what you think is good. I'm God. Give me 5 to 10 eggs. And release the FSH drug to go ahead and mature those eggs and make them viable. So the body goes, the ovaries sense the chemical, says, all right, I'm going to drop these 5 to 10 jokers, but they ain't good, but hey, you know what's best. And then I'm going to make them mature. So that's how these women get, 3 to 5 eggs available, and they say fertilize one. So after the rapid decline at age 37, by the time she hits 40, their ovarian reserve is often estimated to be, and I said this before, 5 to 10,000. So what happens to the lost eggs? As you read, a woman in the height of her fertility loses 1,000 eggs a month, but only ovulates one. Because what happens is, anybody who was sitting there waiting to mature, anybody who was waiting for any egg that was waiting for their chance, if they're not the one that's picked, they degenerate and die and are passed through the menstrual cycle. So 1/10 of that 40 or 30 get to make the spot. That means 3 to 4. And anybody who doesn't get the FSH drug dies. So one egg. But how many were called out into the pros from the junior camps? So we go on. And this talks a little bit more about it. Eggs roughly take 85 to 90 days to fully develop. So if you sat there too long past the 70 egg, just if you are 1 or 2 days off, if you're an egg and you sat there one day earlier or one day after, you out. You didn't make the playoffs. Eggs become sensitive to FSH around 70 days. Eggs recruited more than 70 days earlier have withered and died by this point. And the cycle continues. During the IVF cycle, for example, administered that the fish FSH, as I said before, is administered in such high levels that 99 follicles with less FSH receptors can be, quote, tricked. So it makes the women produce up to 100 eggs. That is an ideal situation, and it only yields 5 to 30 eggs. You're playing with God, right? And at this point, the body is saying, look, young lady, you're too old to make a child, right? All your friends, Shakura says, all my friends over 40 are having children. How many of them are special needs kids? Because here we have Shakura, the modern woman. These are facts. This is ABC News. All your friends over 40? True. You can't tell them anything different. So anyway, back to the facts. The only real way to tell an egg is fertilized or if it's a good egg. Now, according to this, are egg quality and quantity related? Right? While they're certainly not married to each other, there are some correlations between both age and egg quantity and egg quality. Unfortunately, there's no measure of an egg quality as there is egg quantity. For Shakura, I know 2 women that used IVF. One of them, the third child died, the triplet, because it had severe lung and brain issues, and the child died in 2 months. I know another woman that has a child with severe birth issues, and will be dependent upon them for the rest of that child's life. That little girl will depend upon her parents past their death. The only real way to tell, apparently according to this, is either you test the child pre-implementation genetic testing, so you stick a needle inside the sac and risk the sanctity of the sac while while the baby is being formed. Or they said, I mean, this is crazy. The only real way to tell is to fertilize an egg and determine if it fertilizes, develops into an embryo, and either test the embryo using pre-implementation genetic testing, or if the embryo develops into a fetus and healthy baby. So you just might have to make the decision if there's any defects to abort, late-term abortion, or make the decision that whatever is God's will, I'm going to go with it. And that includes any birth defect. So here's the issue. And what we deal with here is probability and not possibility. People love to say, I got two or three friends that had a child at 52. Is it the norm? Because a lot of what we hear on the news involves the word or the term IVF. If you had to use IVF to have a baby, that's not natural. You're tricking the body. We just read that. You're not confused. You're tricking the body to say the eggs that the body said aren't good. You're saying they're good enough. And sometimes when you roll the dice, you win. I know a few people who've lost. So should I then say it doesn't work? I'm not here to say it doesn't work. I'm here to say, if you're meeting a woman for the first time at 37 and she's telling you that she's open to having kids, the question you should have is, can she? And what is the quality? That's all I'm presenting to you, gentlemen, as a decision-making option. Let's deal in the statistics and not the potential that you know one or two people who sold drugs and became multimillionaires. Because the jails are full of a lot of people who did the same drug selling and they didn't make it, or they're dead. So I'm going to open this up to, Jesus, even the great Sugar Wilson. Otis, I see you there. And let's talk about these issues. Because when we don't have the conversation and we don't deal in facts, we deal in surprises. And we're not here to talk about the potential. We're talking about the probable outcome. And the probable outcome is any number of defects. And it's probable without, right? Can a 20-year-old have a child that has some defects? Absolutely. But there's no denying the statistics. And the statistics, if you're weighing your best option, picking a 37-year-old woman who's now at the latter stages and requires a $25,000 hospital visit to be pumped with hormones to trick the body into saying, we can do this. And a colossal amount of vitamins and nutrients to trick the body. But you ain't fooling nobody. Thing is that, in the society where everyone wants to say that everyone's equal, we're not. Men can, without additional drugs, father a child at 70 and over. Robert De Niro, late 60s. Did he have to go ahead and take hormone therapy? No. But ladies, as the good doctor suggested in this, in ABC News, you could read it for yourself. I encourage you to. Good doctor said, I would encourage you to do it early because there is degeneration of eggs. And you increase the chances of birth defects. You might be lucky. You might not be. Anyway, that's tonight's discussion. God bless you all. Feel free to leave some comments in there. I go through and check. And it's been a blessing to be able to share this with you. See you next Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard, 4 o'clock West Coast. Look forward to talking to you again. Bless.